Hi, I'm Nick Nanton, and welcome to America's Premier Experts, the one and only place where we bring the top experts from all around the world to give you the best advice you can get. And I've got just one of those experts here today, one of my good friends, Mr. George McCranie. George, welcome.
Hi, Nick. It's great to be here.
Great to have you, man. So obviously, I know all about you and your practice, but our viewers probably don't. So why don't you tell them a little bit?
Well, I'm a criminal defense attorney and personal injury attorney in Southeast Georgia. I'm a former district attorney. I'm a former prosecutor. I've been defending now my clients for around 14 years. On top of that, I'm a best-selling author. I was honored to be asked to be a co-author in Protect and Defend, and it came out as a bestseller, and that's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I've just completed my personal work that I put out, which is the working title of Down and Dirty DUI Defense. And I've just completed that book, and I'm working on getting it published. But actually, first and foremost, I like to say that I'm a father. I have two beautiful daughters, Alexandria and Madge, and I'm a husband. My wife, Danielle, is a wonderful lady. She works in my office as my office manager, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for her.
That's awesome, man. So tell me through all the years you've gotten to get to here, what got you into being in criminal defense?
Well, I was a prosecutor to start off with, and I enjoyed being a prosecutor. I thought that I had the ability to do what was right for the people. I work in a very small area, a very rural area in South Georgia. I was fortunate enough to know a lot of the people that I had to deal with, and I enjoyed that work, but I eventually moved out and went out on my own. And once I started defending clients, I really enjoyed that, and I've actually had a focus on DUI defense. And I've done a ton of DUI work, and I really enjoy doing that because I've found that a lot of people are overcharged. And by overcharged, what I mean is that they go to a wedding reception, have a drink, then they go through a roadblock. Well, they haven't done any bad driving, they've done absolutely nothing wrong, but basically what they do is they talk themselves into a DUI charge when they're really not DUI. So I've put an emphasis on DUI defense and have actually trained my staff. We do in-house training at the office to make sure that we're able to adequately represent these people and take a lot of the stress off of them, because most people, and I've found that in my practice, most of the people that I deal with are good people. They just made a bad choice or made a bad decision. And they really need a second chance, and there's no reason that their life should be ruined just because of one small mistake that they made.
Very good. And so someone were watching this and they just got charged with a DUI. One of the things I want to make clear, I mean, obviously, I'm a lawyer too, but something I know nothing about DUIs. And just because you got a brother-in-law or a friend or an uncle who's a lawyer does not mean they're suited to defend you in a DUI. Can you talk about that for a second?
Well, that's true. I've dealt with some of the top attorneys in the nation that have represented very famous people and famous individuals who tell me they do not want anything to do with a DUI trial. They say it's too complicated. I never recommend for anyone to hire an attorney that does, let's say, bankruptcy, divorce, child custody, a little bit of wills and estates, and let's throw in some criminal defense. I don't recommend that because in criminal defense, you're literally putting your life on the line. It's the difference between being convicted, entering a plea that will resolve the case in your favor, or going to jail. And in that type of situation, you need someone that specializes in criminal defense.
It's the equivalent of being told you have brain cancer and thinking the general physician, your family doctor, can treat it, right?
That's exactly right. You don't want to go to a podiatrist if you need brain surgery. Exactly.
That's absolutely true. Now, I'm sure you've got lots of great stories, and I'm sure you've shared a lot of them in your books, but do you have maybe a favorite story you can share with us?
Well, right recently, I represented a young man. He was almost to graduate college. He had virtually a 4.0 average. He'd spent literally thousands of hours studying. He was to the point when he graduated, he was going to be getting a license or a certificate from the state to go into his chosen profession. He went to a wedding of a friend. After he left the wedding, he'd only had a glass or two of champagne. He encountered a roadblock. At the roadblock, he answered all kinds of questions that they asked him. He tried to be cooperative with them. And in fact, what happened was he wound up being overcharged. He was not under the influence whenever he was going through this roadblock, but because he said, have you had anything to drink tonight? He said, well, yes, I've had a couple, and it went from there. Once he was asked to step out of that car, the chances that he would be going on home that day were slim to none.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who will try a field sobriety test when they haven't even had anything to drink and they can't even pass it, right?
Well, they're not really designed to pass. An example of that is the walk and turn test. The walk and turn test is where you take 9 heel to toe steps. Well, people don't normally walk heel to toe. And it's not a test that you're really designed to measure a normal functioning. In his situation, after I reviewed his case, I mean, he was really, when he came to me, he and his parents both were all to pieces. They thought this would ruin him. He wouldn't be able to get a license from the state. And after I reviewed his case and went through the videos and all the evidence involved in it, I came up with multiple defenses that actually allowed us to get the DUI charge itself dismissed against him. So now he's able to graduate school, he can go on, he doesn't have to worry about getting his certificate, the state can grant him a certificate, he can go on and complete the rest of his life, and this one mistake that he made won't just ruin him forever, it gives him a second chance.
That's awesome, and that's something that I think people really need to pay attention to. The difference between calling someone like yourself, who is an absolute expert, trained in doing these things all the time, or not, could mean the difference the rest of your life, because that's something you would have to put in your record forever, right?
In Georgia, where I practice, if you are convicted of a crime, it will stay on your record for the rest of your life. When you're 92 years old, like my father is, if he had been convicted of a crime, he would still have to say, I was convicted of a crime in 1970. I mean, it will remain on your criminal history for the rest of your life. Nothing that's available such as an expungement. In fact, in Georgia, expungements are now going to go away, and there will be no expungements after July the 1st. So everything changes, and the stakes only get higher if you're actually charged with a crime.
Wow, so tell us this. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching that say, hey, I don't want to keep my life in my own hands for any longer. I need to call George. How do they reach you, George?
All you got to do is call my office, or you can go on my website. You can look us up there, and you can find a lot of informational videos that I've done on YouTube.
Awesome. We'll put that stuff up on the screen for everybody, and thanks for sharing the information. It's very valuable. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dick. I'm glad to be here.